Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's your boy K-Hole. You can still call me Goji if you want. I changed my mind. Um, I'm sorry if I haven't been uploading that much. It's been motivation thing issues. So I thought this would be a really fun video to do. I probably could have done this years ago when I still played Destiny, but I thought I should probably do it now. I'm gonna be ranking all of these from F, which is the worst, all the way to S, the best weapons ever. So, yeah, without further ado, let's begin. I'll probably say, I'm gonna put Dreg's Promise at F tier, because it's not, the idea behind it, it's not a bad weapon, but the problem is it doesn't really pack as much of a punch as it should with like most sidearms, I feel like. And just overall, it's just kind of a meh, really. I don't know. Fourth Horseman. I'll probably put this one in D tier. This one is kind of is okay. Like it could be a really good weapon. It has good damage. The problem is the biggest thing that brings this weapon down to this ranking is its recoil. Like trying to do it in full auto, it's almost impossible to control basically. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but you get the idea. It's I actually remember running this in Crota's End, like as a meme with like my old clan. And despite that, like surprisingly, we were able to get through the entire raid with just this weapon. So that so I guess I do have a little bit of like a better opinion on it, but it's like it's still in D tier as a weapon. So that's my stance on it. Dragon's Breath. That's going in D tier as well. That's also it's the idea behind it is a great weapon because it's like you shoot it like flames everywhere doing a bunch of damage to the enemies. The problem is that the flames themselves do not do enough damage. They're very weak. Which when you're trying to like use that to clear ads and stuff, it could help a little bit, but because of the fact that because of the fact that there's the flame mechanic not doing enough damage, it's not gonna work. Let's just face it, it's not gonna work that well. Oh yeah, super good advice. It's basically a bullet hose LMG. I don't remember this one that well. All I remember is that it's not a very good weapon, and generally I just never really found any uses for it, so I put that in D tier. I put Zaoli's Bane at D tier, okay? So, Zaoli's Bane, good range, pretty good stability, I would say. Fire rate is tolerable, and then the reload speed is just garbage. And then in terms of this type of weapon, I never really found it to be useful in anything other than just patrol missions and just fiddling around with it. Like I can't really see myself trying to do this in a raid, and especially in Crucible when Crucible is such a fast-paced game mode thing. So this I that's why I put this at D tier. I think I'll put this is English at dry stand. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, I just forgot. I'm putting this at D tier as well because one thing about this, when you first look, the problem is I have with that is that it's essentially a clickbait gun. Because reason why I say that is when you look at the stability for it, like on the stats list, it actually looks like it has really good stability. But then once you actually use the gun, it's terrible. It doesn't match what it says on the stat list. So because of that, it's probably the worst. It's definitely the worst raid primary you can get from King's Fall. So it's more of the way I see it, it's more I have this weapon because it's a collection thing, but I don't see myself using it anytime soon. I could oh yeah, I think I know which one I can do. Young Wolf's Howl at actually I think I'll move on to C tier for now. Young Wolf's Howl I'll put at C tier. This one is a good weapon. does its job pretty. It does its job pretty well. It's a sword. It does a lot of damage, and it's overall pretty good at clearing ads. The problem is the actual. It's the problem is though is that stat wise, it's very similar to Boltcaster because Boltcaster compare when you compare Boltcaster to the other two exotic swords like Razelighter and Darkdrinker, it's actually the weakest in terms of damage. It's the weakest sword. And Young Wolf's Howl is the same way too. It's real. It's a in terms of like its damage, it's on the same par as Boltcaster, as I said earlier. So it's more so just like Boltcaster, I feel like it's more of a PvP weapon, like rather than just like a boss DPS weapon. That's just me. But I've never really used this one that much because I'm more of a PvE guy. Like I do raids and stuff, so I've never found a use for this weapon at all. And oh yeah, and did I mention the fact that the actual like sword ability is literally just the hive sword ability, but just on an exotic? Not very creative. You would expect it to be something like really, really badass and stuff, but it's not. It really is not. And that it's a shame. It's such a wasted opportunity for something that looks as badass as this sword. I'll put Fabian's strategy at C as well, because with this one I don't want to like criticize this one and that much because it's a weapon I've only used a few times but never really got into because I never really played Titan that much because I mean I've used this gun. I was able to get it. I just never really used Titan that much. So I do remember people saying it wasn't really that good of a gun, but I'm gonna put it on C tier as a gray zone because it's one of those guns that could be for me. It's one of those guns that could be either really good, I like it, or it's something I just really don't like. So that's where it's going. Jade Rabbit. Never liked Jade Rabbit. I've never found a time where it could be really useful. In Crucible, on paper, it could be pretty good because of the fact that of its heavy damage. It actually does do pretty decent damage when you look at it, but I've never found a time where I would be like, oh yeah, I should use the Jade Rabbit. Jade Rabbit could have been such a way better weapon. There's probably going to be a lot of C tier weapons as well. I put Queen Breaker's Bow at C tier. In terms of the concept, I would probably put it at A or S tier, but as a weapon, I never found it that useful. I generally don't use fusion rifles that often. I've only used like I only really use like a couple a small handful of fusion rifles, and that's really just about it. In the case with this one, this actually is a really cool one. However, as I said earlier, I never really used it in raids. I tried to use it in Crucible quite a bit, but knowing how great I am at Crucible, that never happened again. But I don't know. It was a cool weapon. I might probably give it another chance in the future or something. But uh yeah, I'll just put it there. Oh, Universal Remote is going to C tier as well. The fact that it's a primary shotgun, which considering the fact that they have the special ammo change, with the fact that once you die the first time in the Crucible, you can't get special ammo back on shotgun or fusion rifle or sniper rifle. Considering that this is a primary, that gets you out of that essentially. That's like the only reason I would find that useful. Other than that, it's a pretty average shotgun. So yeah, I put it at C tier. I used it quite a bit, but I don't really think it's too crazy now. Ah yes, No Land Beyond, the legendary, mythical, fucking sniper rifle that is essentially a bolt action with modernized parts. The one gun that made people in Crucible so pissed off at because it's just a fucking reload glitch that I can never master. Now, depending on what kind of player you are, I might get skewered for this, but I'm gonna put it at C tier. Um, this gun is an interesting gun. the concept behind it is interesting. And then if we were talking about the PvE aspect, terrible gun. And then Crucible, that's a different story because depending on how you use it, it can either be a really really bad gun or it can be really freaking good. I've seen people use that gun like really good players use it and they go freaking ham on it. So I feel like that gun depends on your playstyle. In the case with me, I'm not very good at it. So if we were talking about like me playing it and just using it, I would probably play it in F tier, but just because of the fact that this is kind of a subjective weapon, I'm putting it in C tier because of the fact that it depends on your playstyle. Oh yeah, patience and time. That's another sniper I guess was kind of cool, but I never really found useful. Cause like it's when it comes around to, cause when it comes down to it, it's more of a gun that's really good, really fun to use, really good if you're just fiddling around with it. If you're just doing like patrols with it, that's fine. Like Crucible, I guess I could see. PV PVE, I like just like raids and strikes. I guess it's good, but eh, I don't really think it's that useful of a gun. I completely forgot about Thorn. I'm putting that in D tier. Yeah, like just we're not talking about year one Thorn. We're talking about the Thorn that was released in year 3, Rise of Iron. If that artifact that was added into Rise of Iron was not there, this gun would frickin' dominate. It would be such a great gun. It's unbelievable. But the thing is, since being that artifact exists in the game, that gun is fucking shit. I've tried using it against people with those fucking artifacts, and it's fucking terrible. Seriously. And I know this is coming from someone that's not good at Crucible in general, but like, holy fucking shit, the damage is terrible against those people. You'd be thinking like, hey, you know what? There might be people not actually using that artifact. No, most of the people I've seen in matches do use that artifact. You can shut your little mouths. It's a shame because it's a cool gun that has a great appearance and it has really good perks. Shame. Shame, shame, shame. Oh, and yeah, so I just found my next one. C tier, Chaperone. That's another gun I've only used once, and I don't really remember it that well. All I know is that it was the first ever slug round shotgun, and like especially a shotgun that wasn't a pump shotgun. From what I remember, it was okay. I never tried it in Crucible. I've heard a lot of people say it is great in Crucible, but I just never really found like the time, not really the time, like more like the motivation to use it in Crucible. That's why I'm playing it in C tier. I just never really used it enough. Oh yeah, No Time to Explain. No Time to Explain is another gun I kind of remember, but not really. The quest itself to get it is pretty fun, but when as a gun, I guess it could be good in Crucible, but going off of the perks on there, it's more of a PvE weapon, I feel like, because of the fact that it returns bullet. Because of the returning bullet aspect. Because you get your shots back after damaging, when you constantly damage an enemy, so because of that, I could probably see it being used against bosses, but I personally never found a time to use it because there are so many other better weapons out there. Oh yeah, First Curse. That's also going in D tier. Well, actually, I'm just gonna say D tier. I remember not being a very good gun. I just don't remember the perks, so that's all you need to know for that one. Oh yeah, Zen Meteor. Zen Meteor is C tier. It's a good gun. It's like I'd say like in terms of the perks, where it's like if you get like 3 rapid bullet kills, you get like a super bullet. Like that's freaking cool. Like that's in my opinion. When it comes down to it, as just a sniper in Crucible, it's a great sniper. But the problem is that trying to activate the perk in Crucible is only possible if you just have like 3 people like standing and not really doing anything, which is pretty much not gonna happen at all if you've played Crucible long enough. So that's why I'm playing it in C tier. It's a good sniper, but the perk is not useful in Crucible. I'm actually gonna put 3 weapons in because they're all the same weapon: Thunderlord, Nova Mortis, and Abaddon. These guns are great. I'm not much of an LMG user. I'm more of a rocket or sword guy. I found a better like legendary LMGs that do more damage than that, in my opinion, like Kulm's Terminus. You guys are probably gonna kill me in the comments because these are really respected weapons. So I don't care. It's my opinion. Ace of Spades should be in C tier as well. The perks were kind of cool, but when it came down to it as a gun, it was kind of meh. It wasn't until like Destiny 2 Forsaken, like it became a really freaking good gun. It's just meh, really. That's just what it is. I have no other way of saying it. I think I'll put Invective in B tier. It's a full auto shotgun done right. Because when you compare it to something like Fourth Horseman, the recoil is so much freaking better on the Invective. And not only that, too, this thing actually regenerates ammo. Do I use it often? No, but it's still good. Oh, I forgot another weapon I should put into C tier. Bullion Gemini. Don't remember anything about it. I don't remember if it's any good. That's all there is to it. I don't even remember how I got the gun, to be honest. Touch of Malice, I'm going to put in D tier. Because Touch of Malice is a good gun because it does damage. The problem is that one of the perks on there is that when you get on the last bullet, it will keep firing, but the problem is it'll take your health as ammo basically. So that's a very risky weapon. And I've only found one time where I could actually use this, and it was in King's Fall. Because in King's Fall, there's a buff where you're constantly healed, and it can be a really good DPS weapon against Death Singers and Oryx. So those are the only times I find it useful. Other than that, not very useful of a gun, honestly. But yeah, and Hardlight, that's also C tier because the perks are pretty cool. Projectiles do ricochet, which is really cool. The problem is it's the same idea with the Anguish of Drystand. Its stability looks really good, but it brings it down so much. The reason why I rank this like a lot higher than the Drystand is because of the fact that it actually has a really good perk, which is the Ricochet. Plan C. Used it once. Don't even remember it that well, honestly. Lord of Wolves, I would actually put in B tier. Does do a pretty decent amount of damage, I would say. I expect like in Crucible. I never really thought it was useful in PvE, honestly, but PvP, that's where it was at. I'm going to put the Kvastov at B tier for nostalgic reasons. Not only was the normal version of this gun the first ever gun you get in this game, but this is also the most customizable exotic and just weapon in Destiny history. You can change the fire rate. You can change it from full auto to burst fire to semi. You can even change like the fire rate from like was it 450 rounds to 900 rounds. Like you could turn it from like a normal auto rifle to like a burst fire one. You could change a lot of settings on it. And honestly, it's a great gun. It had a great quest. The only few things that are setting it back is that the only way for it to do really good damage is if you have it in like the highest rate of fire possible. You guys are gonna hate me for this. Monte Carlo. I've used Monte Carlo quite a bit, but I don't remember any of it. So, yeah, you guys can kill me. Red Death, I remember that gun. I did like it for quite a while, but I eventually started to realize that it's not as good of a gun as I thought it was, and there's better pulse rifles out there. And there were a bunch of them that came out later on at that point. I put Hereafter in B tier as well. Good gun. If you're coming from Halo, then this is a really cool gun because you already get to zoom into the scope, and then you get to zoom in again, which just like in Halo. And because of that, I really do like it. Which actually, that's one of the reasons at least. Equally, in both aspects, great sniper. Because once you get that precision kill, you get that blinding aura around like all the ads and stuff. And then in terms of its stats in Crucible, it handles itself pretty well. So I put it at B tier. Nemesis Star goes in C tier as well. It's a mediocre gun, to say the least. I've only used it like a few times. I don't think I ever really used it in Crucible or any raid as far as I remember. Icebreaker, also, I'm just gonna put it in B tier. You guys are also gonna kill me for this, but I've never really used Icebreaker that much. Because again, I don't do Crucible that often, and this is a good weapon to use in in raids and strikes, but I found better weapons like the Ex Machina, for instance, and that's a legendary weapon. Keep in mind. And there is one other exotic sniper that I think is a way better than that one, but you'll see what it is in a bit. Oh yeah, Necrochasm. I'm actually gonna put it at B tier, same ranking as Kvastov. The thing I really liked about it was the Cursed Thrall perk, because actually is a pretty effective perk. It's great it's not good in PvE, but PvP, 100% worth it. Hawkmoon, all the way. I love Hawkmoon. Like, I've used that gun for most of year 2. I love it to death. Even though its range is not very great, its perks are what make it so freaking awesome. I remember using that in so many like PvP matches. I remember using it in tons of strikes. I never used it in raids, but in those other areas though, I was like, oh my god, this is such a good gun. I can't stop using it. Hell, I've even used it up until Rise of Iron, actually. That's how long I've been using that gun. Fatebringer. This could be either legendary or adept. Fatebringer is all around a great weapon to use in PvE. Funny thing is too, I've used this in PvP as well. The range isn't great, but honestly, the fact that this thing is elemental, it actually gives it a bigger punch compared to the other compared to the normal version. And in PvP, oh my god, that thing is freaking insane. I've almost never seen anyone use this in PvP, which really surprises me. I'm also gonna put all the Crota weapons in C tier. I was never really a fan of them. They are also kind of mediocre. I've used them a bit. I've used them in raids before. I believe the Abyss Defiant in a couple raids, but it was okay. Kind of the same idea with Atheon's Epilogue and Praetus Revenge. Those two were okay. And then which leaves me with one more weapon, which this one I will get to later. Maya Moraine is also going in B tier. Honestly, most of the weapons in King's Fall, like the primary weapons I mean, are not very good. The hand cannon's terrible. The auto rifle is terrible. The scout rifle is okay. And then the Smite of Moraine is like the best one. It's easily the best one. It has Firefly on it. You can get Firefly on it, which is a very rare perk for pulse rifles. And this version of the Smite of Moraine is a solar one, so it makes it so much freaking better with Firefly. So because of that, great freaking gun. And I'll put Doom of Chelchis on here too. It's a equally good scout. It's almost as good, but it's still not better than Smite Moraine, obviously. There's actually one. I just realized that there's one. I didn't get all the weapons. The only one I didn't get was Steel Medulla, so that's C tier 2. I've tried the normal one. It's still pretty good. In raids, it does a lot of damage. So actually, you know what? I'll just treat this like as I would for the legendary one. Put it in A tier as well. So, yeah. Bad Juju. I'm playing that in B tier. It's a great gun, but never really used that one that much. I found a way better one personally, but yeah. And yes, I'm gonna put Boltcaster in B tier. It's honestly, in my opinion, a way better weapon than Young Wolf's Howl. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will agree with me on that. It's great in PvP, not only because of the fact that it does good enough damage for it, but the main attack that it uses is a long range attack, which makes it pretty beneficial for it because you don't have to go. Because with all the other swords, you have to get really up close and personal, but with this one, you can just do a long range. That's why I put it in B tier. It's still a good sword. And then I'm gonna put Suros Regime in B. I used this before I started using Hawkmoon a lot. I used this one for quite a while too. Care for it that much anymore, but I will go back to it. Then it's Tlaloc. I'm playing that in B tier. I've used that quite a bit, but I've used it enough for me to definitively say that it's a pretty good gun. When you have your super fully charged, all hell breaks loose basically. It's a Warlock exclusive. I don't play Warlock anymore, but if I ever do again, I'm probably gonna use this gun. I'm gonna put Fever and Remedy in C tier because I don't. It's kind of an okay gun. And then Genesis Chain because it does heavy damage towards ads. And I'll put Telesto in C tier as well. The thing is, it's so different from other fusion rifles. I feel like it's really hard to kind of adjust to it because once you shoot the projectiles, they don't immediately damage the enemy right away. They only attach to them and they just blow up. which is kind of odd. I feel like it could be a really good gun, really good fusion rifle if you use it enough, but not for me. Zalo Supercell, A tier. This was the gun I used throughout the entirety of King's Fall. It took me through that entire freaking raid, and honestly, I I miss it a lot. I hope that if they ever bring it back in Destiny 2, I might. That'll probably be the reason I'll come back. I don't. That's a lie, but that just kind of shows how much I love this gun. I'm gonna put Vex Mythoclast in A tier. It's kind of the same idea with Telesto and like how different it is, but the main difference is not only is this a really good gun, is this really good in terms of damage and just killing ads, it's a lot easier to adjust to. So I place this a lot higher than Telesto. And even if this wasn't as good as the year one version, it still is pretty damn good. I'll put Truth in B tier. It's also pretty good, but I never really used it that much. Again, found a better weapon. And then I'll put Trespasser in there too. It's definitely better than the Dreg's Promise. It's definitely way better. Perks are better, and I think it's kind of like a mini version of the Zalo Supercell, but sidearm in a sidearm form. And then next one, I'm gonna put Last Word in A tier. Go ahead, kill me now. Terrible in PvE. PvP, when you master that weapon, it's pretty awesome. I used to be really good with this gun. Nowadays, I'm not, sadly. It's a shame. That's all I have to say about that gun, really. It's a great gun. And I'm going to put Chaos Dogma in A tier because it's not a PvP weapon. It's more of a PvE weapon, like especially the Wrath of the Machine weapon. It does great damage. It's kind of like the Vision of Confluence, but it has a slower fire rate. It does quite a lot of damage too. I put Razelighter in A tier because I don't. It's still a great sword, but I rarely use it. First weapon, which will actually be my favorite, which is my favorite weapon of all time, Outbreak Prime. Yeah, Outbreak Prime is my favorite gun in all of Destiny 1. Not only was the quest itself very freaking difficult, but once you get it and you fully upgrade it, this gun is a freaking monster. It does a lot of damage towards enemies. It is a great gun to use in Crucible. It's a very versatile pulse rifle. If you're able to and you actually have like the patience to do the quest, I highly recommend this gun. It's that good. The Gjallarhorn up there as well. Come on, you can't deny the Gjallarhorn. Even if it's not as good as it was in year one, it's still a freaking awesome gun, dude. Great perks, great weapon to use in raids. Overall, my favorite rocket launcher. Sleeper Simulant up there too. I only use this in raids, which I'm pretty sure everyone does. It's great in boss fights. I use this the most, I feel like, mostly when I'm doing King's Fall. I guess mostly in the Golgoroth fight, because that just does a lot of damage. Especially the fact that this weapon has the highest impact in the game. I'm playing this at S tier because it's just been an all-around great gun and it's done a great service for me. So next weapon I'm going to put up there, I'm going to put Vision of Confluence. Legendary or not, this is my go-to scout rifle. No matter what it is, any PvE encounter, I will always use this gun. I find it such a helpful gun to be so great, honestly. 100% worth it. And then my multi-tool, whenever I did Crucible, this would always be my go-to. Mostly because it's an easy gun to use and yeah, very OP. So yeah, you guys can kill me now. I don't know, fuck. And then I'm just gonna put Black Spindle up here too. It's a really great PvE weapon. I've used this a lot in King's Fall, especially on the War Priest encounter. That's the encounter I found this weapon to be most helpful, because if you just kept getting them precision hits, you could constantly reload the magazine and you could just get a constant stream of damage. And when you have all six members of your fire team using it, the damage is just doubled or just even higher than that. And it's just such a great weapon. And then we're ending it off on Dark Drinker. So that's my favorite sword. Not only does it kill enemies very well, but it's a great DPS weapon. You always use this one during Wrath of the Machine or just really any encounter that involves killing really high health enemies. For instance, just when I mentioned Wrath of the Machine, when I'm doing the Vosik encounter, there's the captains that come out. I always make sure to kill those pretty quickly because it's on most. I think it's on a time limit as far as I remember. And then the Axis. That's when you do damage to him. Oh yeah, and the Siege Engine, and then going to Vault of Glass, killing the Gorgons because you're able to do that now. It's my favorite sword. This is my favorite sniper. One of my favorite scout rifles. This is my favorite scout rifle. Favorite fusion rifle, favorite rocket, and favorite pulse rifle. Yeah, that was my tier list. Hope you guys were able to get through this video. This was a very, very shitty video. So yeah, that's my entire tier list. You can go in the comments and tell me why I'm wrong. Don't actually, like, that's kind of immature, but it's my opinion. If there are weapons on here that I ranked lower than you want me to, more power to you, man. If you want, I would like to see your guys' opinions on this if you guys play Destiny at all. And yeah, that's it. See you guys later. I'm K-Hole. Peace out.